What's up, y'all? So listen, I don't know if y'all saw my video because I think when I checked, it was like one person saw it, where I was talking about, checking your space heaters and checking your cords and your sockets and stuff because damn near, I don't know what the number one cause is, but the firefighters are saying that most of these fires are starting from these space heaters. And I was telling y'all about how even for 15 minutes, like when I stick my cord in there, it gets awful hot in my sockets. So I was thinking like maybe I need an upgrade or whatever, because my home is pretty old or whatever. So I was thinking maybe I need an upgrade on sockets so I could run it. But then what happened was I had started calling around and I had filed a claim for an electrician to come out or whatever. And I told them the nature of the problem or whatever. And they said for troubleshooting, they would come out and it would be the first people I called was my business where I would have had to pay $100 up front and then be reimbursed, but they would take care of the cost. And then I called out to some straight electricians if I didn't want to use my service, and they said it would be troubleshooting. It would be $120 an hour to come troubleshoot or and make sure that my sockets were running up to speed or whatever. So then I called another electrician and I talked to them and told them what was going on or whatever. So it was like a fine line because yes, the cord can get hot and yes, the socket can get hot because space heaters draw out of a lot of heat. Plus, your washer and dryer is running off and your refrigerator is running off. You got all these big objects that's running off or whatever. So yeah, it could draw some heat and it could be a concern for a fire or whatever, or it could just be that it needs to be upgraded and it's not meeting the sockets and wiring is not meeting the level expectation to pull the space heater. So when I called the third company, it basically she woke me up. It basically boiled down to this, you know, your house is safe as far as, plugging in, regular sockets or, plugging in little things. But when you go to messing with the space heaters, you always asking for trouble because it pulls 1500 watts or whatever in your circuit breaker. I don't know if she said 24 or 28 or something like that. So anytime you go to plug in a space heater, you always asking for trouble. So the moral of the story is we recommend you don't have to have a upgrade to your sockets, even though the house is old, but it's old and compatible to run with what it's supposed to be running with and not what it's not supposed to be running with. So you can upgrade them if you want to, if you want to run these things. But the moral of the story is what we suggest to you is to don't run the space heaters at all because they are not safe and they are very dangerous. So I decided to go with that. Or if I do run it, maybe I'll just run it, 15 or 20 minutes or 30 minutes at the most and then back up off of it. Because like I said, I thought, that they save on the bills. And like I said, a lot of people are saying that their bills doubled after they use the space heaters. But it just gives me that level of security. When I get up around me, I'm heated. But then when I step into the bathroom, I'm freezing. Or if I step in the hallway, I'm freezing, but I'm warm and I'm not busting out this big unit to pay or whatever. But I kind of agree with them. So now I got to get used to not using the space heater. And like I said, maybe I'll use it and I'll watch it for like 15 or 20 minutes or something. But to continuously allow it to run the way I've been allowing it to run, I won't be doing that. And like I said, I didn't know that you couldn't use them while you were asleep. Like I didn't know. I knew that, and I just learned this a couple of years ago that most space heaters start fires when you have them plugged into these strips and when you have them plugged into extension cords and stuff like that. I knew not to do that, so I was plugging straight into the wall. But just the fact that I talked to the woman. I think she was the woman that sold this heater to me or whatever. But then again, I don't know because there's a lot of people that's selling these heaters. But she was real concerned about me, and me and her was texting all through the night because she was making sure it wasn't the heater and telling me to send it back. And I was telling her, no, it's not the heater, because I got 2 other heaters that I've used all year and it ain't even been no problem. And they probably been heating up the same way because, and nothing has happened or whatever since I've been using them. Ain't nothing happened. They've been heating up, but I just felt a little leery. And then, like I said, when I touched the wall and touched the cord, it was just too hot for my liking around here or whatever within 15 or 20 minutes of just turning it on or whatever. So I'm not going to send it back because that's not the problem. The problem is I shouldn't be using space heaters. That's what the problem is. But like I said, my house is old, so I have to respect her rules, and hopefully she'll respect mine. If it get too cold and I need her for 15 or 30 minutes, I'll use it. But when I called the electricity people, the electricians, to see if they would want to come up and upgrade my sockets, they can come upgrade my sockets. They could troubleshoot, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be costly for them to do it. Or you can just act like normal people do and don't use a space heater, because we telling you that it draws a lot of electricity out. We telling you that you asking for trouble or whatever. So I'll be watching it. Like I said, I might plug it in for about 15 or 20 minutes or something like that. Because when I unplug it, it gets real cold. But when I plug it up for like 15, 20 minutes, that thing starts shooting some serious heat there. And I don't like that. But other than that, the moral of the story is maybe I shouldn't be using space heaters. This is just me. Mwah.